Number 1. Am I the asshole for despising my mentally handicapped sister? The title makes me sound horrible, but hear me out. My sister is severely autistic. She requires attention almost 24/7 and cannot be left alone. She is nonverbal and cannot take care of herself at all. Despite the fact that she is only 12, she is extremely destructive and violent and destroys anything she gets her hands on. I hate her. That should be wrong to say, but it doesn't feel like it. I was only 6 years old when she was born, and since then, I've never solely had my parents' attention. Even since I can remember, the world has revolved around her. I was moved out of my room into the basement at 7 because she needed to be in the room next to my parents. All of my toys as a child were destroyed by her, and my parents simply ignored me when I complained. Even when I was 14 and she destroyed a Mac, my school gave me I was in the wrong. Along with this, I am expected to take care of her and drop everything I do for her. I can never make plans with friends because my parents expect me to be there if they need me to take care of her. Even when I do somehow get time to myself, I am required to leave if they need me. If I do not, then I am punished. A recent example of this is when I went to see the new Spider-Man movie and was grounded because I turned my phone off in the theater. It seems as if I am nothing more than a slave to them, and anything involving her simply overshadows me. This last week, I was chosen to give a speech at a school event. I was so excited, and my parents promised to be there. But they never showed up and claimed it was because of my sister. Anytime anything like this happens for me, they are too busy with her. I've held this in for so long, and it finally spilled out today. While talking about colleges with my father, he joked that I should get a degree that pays well so that when they are gone, I can take care of my sister. I don't know why, but this caused me to break down. I cried and screamed about how it always about her. I'm nothing more than a caretaker to them, that they always make it about her, and that I'm expected to be her slave for the rest of my life. I've locked myself in my room since then, and my parents have not come to check on me. Am I the asshole here? Update. After thinking about it for these past hours, you are right that I don't despise my sister. It's not her fault that she was born the way she is. My parents came to talk to me a while after my breakdown, but I was unable to bring myself to talk to them and only cried and asked them to leave. They have made arrangements with my grandfather for me to stay with him for the time being, and I am getting ready to go to his house. My parents want to talk to me, but we have decided it's best I leave for now to have some space and time to collect myself. We will be sitting down and talking later this week about this issue. Update. Well, since the day I made the post, I've been staying with my grandfather. The week's been honestly a huge change for me, for better and for worse, but I'll try to run it down. I started by telling my grandpa the story of why I broke down the way I did, and to be honest, he seemed horrified. No one in my family knew my parents were using me as essentially a free care service for my sister. My grandpa told me some things that I don't feel comfortable repeating here. But in essence, my sister is supposed to be getting care from a professional, and my parents were ignoring that. Along with this, I was not supposed to be caring for her at all with her mental state, as apparently she is a danger to herself and others. With everything else I told him, along with stuff like the movie Indecent, he was really mad and told me to not contact my parents without him there. He pretty much told me that he would be meeting with my parents beforehand and that he was going to be there when I sat down with them. It didn't end here either. The rest of the week consisted of other family checking in on me and telling me things my parents hid from me. This included the fact that my parents have been taking money from family to fund a caretaker that doesn't exist. Suffice to say, this week has been rough. But the upside is that even through all this, my extended family has been giving me more love than I've felt in a while. My grandfather spent this last week making up for the time I've lost, encouraging me to spend time with friends and do things I want to do. My aunts and uncles have also been helping me through the week. Well, Saturday night I sat down with my parents to talk. It went badly, to say the least. They came clean to me about everything. They told me things I will not repeat here, but they did not apologize. My parents still claim that I somehow owed my sister my time. My father even said, "You were put here to be her caretaker." I won't lie and say I was composed. After everything I learned, I confronted them on the fact that my sister needed a caretaker, the money my dad was taking from his sister, and a few other things. They denied it or made excuses. And in the end, we ended off in a worse place than before. Today will be my last time talking to them for a while. After talking with my grandfather and uncle last night, I'm not going back. Later today, I'm going there and picking up my stuff and moving in with my grandfather. When I graduate high school, I'm planning on leaving the state to go to school. My aunt has told me that the money she was sending my dad will instead be coming to me from now on. My parents have called me twice since Saturday. Neither of them was to apologize and only asked when I was coming home. I won't be going back to them. Right now I still feel pretty uneasy about everything, but I feel like that will pass. The rest of my family is showing their support to me, and honestly, it feels great. But in the end, I lost my parents. Over all of this, I've learned something that I wished I had known earlier. I don't hate my sister. In fact, I love her with all my heart. I should never have projected my hate onto her. That was wrong, and someday I hope to make up for it. But for now, I need to leave. Update. We just got back from moving my things out of my parents' house. Everything I wanted to take my grandpa and uncle helped move, and it's at my grandpa's house now. I have my birth certificate, social security card, and every other document and record I could think of. My parents were quiet the whole time I was there. Shortly after I arrived, my dad left with my sister, and my mom only hovered over us silently as I moved. It took a while, but as we left, she broke down and told me she loved me and would miss me. I hugged her and said goodbye, and that was it. Even now, I sit here and wonder if she really meant it. After this whole week of her not saying anything, she waited till the end. I hope she meant it. Right now, though, I think I just need to look ahead. Maybe one day, me and my parents can reconnect. I hope so. Number 2. Am I the asshole for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard? I'll try to keep this short. I had a 1967 Impala 4-door that I bought in February 2019. A couple of months ago, I bought my first house that had a 2.5-car garage. I moved the car in and started tearing it down for a complete restoration. I had the body in one bay and the chassis in another, plus the whole garage filled with parts. About 2 months ago, my girlfriend came to live with me during this whole crisis and the whole time has hated that car. She wants to park in the garage, but I have 2 acres of land with a lot of nice places to park under shady trees, or hell, even in the barn if it has to be inside. I tell her tough luck, it's my house and it's not like I can just throw it back together really quick. Anyway, I was out of town for a couple of days on a business trip for the small local company I work for. When I got back, my girlfriend was all smiles, making me food all the time, doing all the chores, all that. I thought maybe she just was happy to have me home, but then I realized that I didn't see her car in its usual spot. I asked her where she parked so I could make sure I mow that area and keep it clean, and she said not to worry because she parked in the garage. I asked how, and she told me to go check it out. Turns out that while I was gone, she hired some people to come over and move everything related to that car, including the drivetrain, body, and chassis and all parts, and take it to the local dump scrapyard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had spent over $11,000 on that car, including new part, my services, and the car itself. I told her that I was going to be taking her to court for that, and she brushed me off like I was being dramatic. I told her that it was done between us and to pack her things and leave. I admit I was really angry, but I did end up getting a lawyer, and as I have all the receipts for all that money spent and I have her on my house's security cam footage letting the guys in and watching them take it all, I think I can win. Her family and friends are absolutely blowing me up, saying it's just a stupid old piece of junk and that she cannot pay back all that money I spent, and that I should just let it go. But I have been putting all my time, effort, and money into that car for a year and a half now, and goddammit if I am not going to get justice for what she did. Am I the asshole here? Update. I got a call from her mom about 20 minutes ago and she told me that I was ruining her daughter's life over a stupid car. I told her she ruined her own life. I've been gathering documentation and stuff, and I'm about to head down to the police station and file a report, as suggested by Lots here. Update. I went to the police station last night and was told to come back in the morning. Just got back and filed an official report against her for grand larceny and grand theft auto. I showed them all the receipts I had for the car and the footage of her, letting the guys come and take it as well as the title for the vehicle in my name. They said they will be in contact with all 3 parties, me, ex-girlfriend, and the junkyard guys soon, and they will hopefully be able to recover some or all of the car. Just have to wait now. Huge update. They found my goddamn car. The junkyard guys apparently were in the middle of hiding it when the police came to ask them questions. It was on a forklift, and they were going to put it on top of a pile of cars that was hidden behind more piles of cars. They said it was theirs, and they had the title, but obviously didn't have the title for it, and since they matched the VIN on the chassis and body to the VIN on my title, it was obviously mine. I know at least one person there has been arrested. I think he was in the camera footage I talked about earlier, but I don't know if it was the boss or whomever, or even his specific charge. They also told me they would be looking into this specific junkyard for any other vehicles reported stolen. They said they haven't been able to get in contact with my ex just yet, but they're working on it. I'm just so glad they found my car. Luckily, I made quite an album of pictures detailing me tearing down the car, so I can use that to prove what parts they had were mine, so I can hopefully get most or all of it back. Police haven't let me take it back home yet, as they say it is evidence or something, so hopefully I can get it back eventually. She's gonna be all right. Number 3. Am I the asshole for poisoning housemate who ate my food without my permission and ended up in the ER? I, 19M, recently moved into a shared place, and there is someone who keeps stealing my food. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but even my leftovers were being eaten. It was very clear that the person was doing it on purpose. I spoke to my housemates about how I would just prefer to be asked first, but they were nonchalant about it, and none of them admitted to doing it, and I haven't caught anyone in the act, so I just tried to ignore it, as it only happened every couple of days or so. A few days ago, I came home from work with a carton of eggs that I found while dumpster diving and some bread. I wanted to give the eggs the water test first before eating them, just to make sure that they were safe to consume, but I was too tired and went to bed early without eating. The next day, I found out that one of my housemates got so sick, he ended up having to go to the emergency room. My eggs were not in the fridge where I left them, but I saw the carton and shells in the trash, and my bread was opened. I had a hunch that it was him because there was a possibility that the eggs had gone bad. But I was also annoyed at the fact that he helped himself to my food without asking. When he came back, I asked him if he had eaten my eggs and bread, but he denied it. I then said, "Okay, but I hope whoever ate them doesn't get as sick as you did, because I found the eggs in a dumpster." His face immediately dropped, and he looked visibly uncomfortable. He got angry and went from saying that he may have consumed the food by mistake, as he wasn't paying attention and doesn't exactly remember, and accusing me of poisoning him. He said that it's a health hazard to bring such food into communal spaces, without warning everyone first, as it's not uncommon for people in shared places to eat other people's food by mistake. He hasn't spoken to me since then, and my housemates are siding with him and called me disgusting for doing that. A part of me feels like I wasn't wrong, because they were my eggs that I was fully intending on eating, and I didn't think I had to warn people against eating food that didn't belong to them, but I also do feel bad and guilty that he got sick. Just to clarify, because I see comments that suggest that I may have done it on purpose, I didn't. I have been dumpster diving for some of my food recently. So I was fully intending on eating it, just like I have been eating the food that I have been finding while dumpster diving. I try to exercise caution, and thankfully it hasn't made me sick yet, but had he not eaten it, I was probably going to end up in the ER myself because I was obviously going to eat it. I didn't randomly do it just to try bait and catch whoever has been eating my food. Food poisoning is not a joke. As I said, I just moved recently, and I'm just trying to get on my feet. I also understand that although I make sure to wipe my food first, ultimately it is gross to put food that came from a dumpster in a communal fridge or pantry and will not continue to do so. I will just put it in my room from now on. Number 4. Am I the asshole for not telling my boyfriend I own the building we live in? When I was 18, my dad gifted me a house with 2 stories. I am extremely thankful. We are not upper class, but my dad bought this house for a cheap price a long time ago. It was his grandmother's cousin's house. I know that this was an extreme privilege, and I am forever grateful for this. The layout of this building is like an apartment, but it is a house, so basically each story has its own separate entry, its own kitchen and bathroom. I live upstairs while I rent out the downstairs. My boyfriend 25M moved in with me about 3 months ago, and we have been together for 6 months. I have not asked him for money. neither for utilities nor to pay me any rent. The only thing he contributes to is groceries, that we split 50-50. I have not brought up that I own the building, as it is not something I tell many people. If people ask me, I of course tell them that I own it, but if they just assume I am a renter, then they can believe that. The topic of a landlord, the renter downstairs, or the owner of the building has not been something we have talked about. This last Tuesday, the renter came up to tell me that her freezer has stopped working. I answered the door and my boyfriend heard us talking, I suppose. I went downstairs to take a look, and we came to the conclusion that she would buy a new one, send me the receipt, and I would give her the money. She was very grateful for this solution. When I went upstairs, my boyfriend asked if it could be fixed. I told him no, but she was going to buy a new one and I would pay for it. He looked at me like I was crazy and asked me why the hell I would pay for her freezer. I told him that because I am her landlord and the freezer was there when she started renting. I would stand for the cost. He just asked me if I was serious, to which I said I was. He began screaming at me, asking him why the hell I would hold this information from him and that I was an evil person. I said I was sorry for not telling him, but I did not think that it would matter. He said he could not believe he was together with someone who is a landlord, that all of us just use people for money, and that the only thing we people care about is money and would rather have people be homeless than offering affordable rent. The downstairs is 1 kitchen, 1 bath, and 4 other rooms. I charge $500 in rent. I understand many people have had trouble with landlords, but I try my best to be a good one. He demanded that I give him 50% of the money I make from rent, or else I was just as bad as he thought. Was I really the asshole for not telling him? He has not talked to me since Tuesday, and I have tried telling him that I am truly sorry, but he doesn't answer me at all. Update. I have talked with him, and I will update later tonight, when I have time to process everything that went down and try to write it out as best as I can. For the people who was worried about my safety, I called my dad, who was sat outside in his car when I talked with my boyfriend. And I am safe as of right now and hope it will continue that way.